The Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business Podcast brings you a unique view of Mesa through its vibrant business community and the subjects that are important. The podcast is produced in the Mesa Chamber of Commerce Media Studio, sponsored by the University of Phoenix. Our podcast is hosted by Mesa Chamber of Commerce CEO Sally Harrison. Please enjoy this episode of the Mesa Chamber Inside Business Podcast.
Hi, I'm Sally Harrison, president of the Mesa Chamber of Commerce, and today I am in our podcast studio with our friend Eric Hyde with Minuteman Press Mesa. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Good to be back.
Yeah, we haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about Minuteman Press Mesa, for those who do not know.
We are a local business that focuses almost entirely on serving other businesses. The marketing, the form creation, the presentation of those businesses to their customers and to the outside world.
It's important.
And that can be from anything from simple business cards, which, believe it or not, people still do, all the way to forms that healthcare companies do. And what has astounded me in the 10 years that I've been in this business in Mesa is the amount of paper forms that are still produced in the healthcare sector.
Oh, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I can imagine. Well, you mentioned some things. Talk about what products you do and maybe what you specialize in.
The products range from anything that is printed to present a company to its customers.
Okay.
And that could be from business cards to forms to brochures and so on, but it also extends into promotional products.
Okay.
I actually came from a company that's in California that's now part of Vistaprint, and so anything from logoed pens to drinkware, labels on water bottles, anything of that sort that brands the company in front of its customers.
Okay.
So we print all that, we provide all that, and our expertise is really in a couple of key areas. One is design, taking logo information, company information, turning that into something that a company wants to present to its customers, all the way to how to source certain things, because there's an expertise that we have for years for that, and being able to present a company well to its customers. And to be quite honest, when people come to us, they may not necessarily know what is going to look right or what's going to look good. The expertise of doing this for thousands of customers really helps us to say, hey, we'd recommend this, or we don't necessarily want to spend this much. It's to provide options that are and cost has definitely been a challenge during these inflationary times.
Yeah, that makes
so
sense.
we work with people to do that, from nonprofits to, in some cases, really large companies.
Well, you mentioned your customers, and I know you have some longtime customers. Talk about that, because, I mean, that's all about relationships.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I'll start with, since I'm here, the city of Mesa itself does a lot of printing work with us and has for a number of years. So we actually have a contract with the city of Mesa. State government, the state of Arizona, the Department of Health Services does a lot. But then you get into healthcare companies, hospitals, individuals that have smaller businesses, to pretty much folks to do internet-based offerings that need product. And I think the other thing that people may not know about us is that we produce product all over the United States. So I can do 40,000 booklets in Los Angeles for a California-based company, catalogs in Chicago, products in the East Coast, New York, Virginia, and so on, and actually serve customers through web contacts that are basically all over the country, but may have a presence in Mesa or trying to get a presence in Mesa. So there's a lot of networking that happens that people don't necessarily know. They think, oh, this is just a local print shop. Well, we're not. We're not.
Well,
I'm
you're
happy
local
to say
to us, but
we extend well beyond the just the local presence,
right.
both in terms of what we produce, how much we can produce, and where it all goes. The other thing that's changed a lot since COVID is the amount of shipping that we do
Oh, yeah.
all over the country.
Yeah.
And, for example, I was just interacting with one of our customers in California that is a healthcare company that has benefits, and those health benefit brochures are printed actually in Phoenix, sent all over the United States with changes and additions pretty much constantly.
You're everywhere.
Yes.
Well, talk about what your background is,
I actually came out of...
because it's not printing.
No, I came out of a large corporate background.
Uh-huh.
I was raised in Michigan. Of course, if you're from Michigan, you go into the auto industry, and that's
Sure.
what I did. I was with General Motors for about 12 years. Kept moving along there. In fact, the last job they offered me there was the director of advertising for Pontiac Motors.
Okay.
And honestly, I could kind of see where things were going back in the 90s. Went into technology, went into the telecom industry, did some startups, went back into some larger companies like Ameritech, and from that got into digital printing. So a friend of mine in San Diego, where I was, had a private company that did personalized, customized printing. And that was really the start of basically being in the printing industry, and I've been in it now for over 26 years.
Wow.
So,
26 years is a long time.
yes.
Yeah. Well, I know you're a people person. Talk about what your passion is.
My passion is to help businesses to grow, enhance what they're doing. I also have a passion about helping my employees. And I'm happy to say that since COVID, I've had several millennial employees that have been able to buy their first homes,
Oh,
have their
nice.
first children, and move along in life. And I'm really happy to have been able to facilitate
Yeah.
that. You hear so much about
well, anybody who can buy a house right now.
millennials and
Right?
Gen Zs especially struggling in this environment.
Yeah.
Well, I've had
That's
folks
awesome.
that have kind of been able to break through that.
That's very cool. Well, you have competitors. Obviously, there's other print shops out there. Talk about what sets you apart from those competitors.
What sets us apart are really three things. One is service. And there are a lot of people, you can go online these days and you can get print proposals from almost anybody. What sets us apart is expertise, and the other is service. So, for example, if somebody like yesterday came to me, we have a specialized calendar, and they went to another very large company called Vistaprint, and basically they couldn't do it. It was not something they had the expertise to do. Or the other thing that sets us apart is if there are issues, and occasionally, people don't always proofread things. They don't always see issues in their own, their own images.
Yeah.
We can correct that. And there's a service element to it that if you go to a kind of a really high volume internet-based company, you can't always talk to a live person. You can't always get things corrected. And I would say the third major difference is speed. It's not uncommon that we'll get requests that are same day or next day. And we can fulfill that. I mean, we have sources where we can get materials to print things, where we can do the graphics, run our equipment in-house, and get it done that day. And
Good to
not a lot of people can necessarily do that or
Sure.
do it as well as we can.
That's great. So, what else am I missing? Any other things you want to talk about?
Yeah, the other thing that I get a lot of joy, I have a lot of passion about is we'll get a lot of folks who just walk in and they're students or they're folks between jobs or folks that may have lost their jobs in all the turmoil that we've all seen and experienced in the last 4 years. And they'll say, can you print my resume? And I'll do that for free.
Oh, nice.
And the reason is because it's, number one, it really doesn't cost us that much.
Sure.
And number two, it's giving back to the community. It's giving back to folks who hopefully will come back to us one day or at least reference us one day. And they often do.
Well, I feel like anything you can do to help somebody get employed right now, especially, is a big plus for the community.
We also do a lot for the retired community, which is pretty substantial, at least where we are at East Mesa. And to be able to help folks out with their projects, some cases they're building, second incomes or supplemental incomes or whatever, and to be able to assist those folks in doing what they're doing is another part of
That's cool.
of our value add. So
Very cool.
and I think the other thing about Mesa is a great place to do business.
Yes, it
it's
is.
a very pro-business kind of a climate, which quite frankly, having looked at a lot of businesses in California before coming here, was not so much and has become less so over time. Whereas Mesa is more and more. I mean, the growth here, in all categories of business has been phenomenal. And the chamber is a big part of that.
Well, thank you very much.
And your leadership has been really phenomenal
Thank you.
during the time, especially with what has transpired in the last 5 years, much less the last 10, has been quite a bit.
It's been fun to be in Mesa, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, so how can people find you? How should people reach out to talk with you?
They can go on the website, and we still use our previous web address because people know it.
Sure.
Although we actually have 2 different websites, but
Okay.
impmesa.com is one way to get in touch with us, or simply call us, and we do answer the phone.
That's not common anymore.
It is not common,
Yeah.
and it's so interesting. I call them boomerang customers who may have tried, going through let's just say a much larger scale organization. They can't get live responses. They can't get responses in some cases to anything. A quote request, hey, this is a little unusual. Can you help me with this? Can't do it. And in some cases when they call and it isn't something in our wheelhouse, we can recommend them where to find
So
where to find other
what's
resources.
the number to call you at?
480-325-9100.
All right.
Easy to remember.
Yeah. Well, very good. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
It's
Good
been
to
a
see
while.
you.
Well,
It has
thank you
been.
for coming in this morning.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Have a great holiday.
Thank you. You too.
This has been a Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business podcast. You can find all podcast episodes at iTunes, Spotify, or your own favorite podcast website. You can also find them online at mesachamber.org. Content of this podcast is copyright the Mesa Chamber of Commerce, unless otherwise noted.